What is going on, internet friends? How are you guys doing? Hope you guys are doing absolutely sensational as per always. Welcome back to my weekly episode of Let's Chat. My forum where we discuss the issues, things that might concern me, concern you, or anything in between, because the truth of the matter is that I do not have all the answers and neither do you, but together through open-minded conversation, I'm hoping that we can come up with a couple of solutions. Now, this week, we're recording this on a bit of a very sore day, and I don't think this is going to be particularly long, if I'm honest. First of all, my recording device is acting a bit sus. So if you see me fidgeting, it's because we're outside. But today I thought I would discuss a little bit of support and the role support can make in your life, right? So it's no secret that I'm an only child in this piece. And I've noticed and I've seen from a lot of people around me, right, the difference that having different support structures can make in one's life. I think it's essential to have a support structure, and I also recognize how much of a privilege it is to have a support structure, whether that's family, whether that's friends, whether that's colleagues, whether that's whatever, you know. As human beings, I can only speak, well, let me speak for myself. For myself, although I recognize how important it is to want to do well for yourself, you also want to do well for the people around you, right? If you have no feedback metric, it's easy to just get lost in the monotony of just working on whatever it is. It doesn't have to be like work, it can be relationship work, it can be anything, right? But we need a reciprocation, and we need a level of reinforcement and encouragement. And that's likewise whether you're going through a good time or a bad time. One of the biggest things that I've recognized is my need for approval to some degree, you know. I always describe my schooling years rather, as me chasing awards rather than relationships, right? I chased achievements for a long time. And when I stopped chasing achievements and I started focusing on chasing relationships, things used to fall into place. I'll say from about end of grade 9, beginning of grade 10, all the way to my matric year, I wasn't chasing awards. I was definitely chasing relationships. You know, I wanted to get to know people, my friends, my colleagues, my peers, hell, even my teachers. I just wanted to get to know people, because that became a good support structure for me. I recognized at that stage that having a support structure is important. And I think for me, at that time, I was taking that support structure for granted. I really was. You know, it came with a lot of accolades. You know, you are the best at this, here's an award. You are the this at that, there's an award. And I didn't realize how much of a role those awards played in my life. You know, I'd always say, like, I don't care about this, that, and the other. But the truth is that you actually do care. As much as you can say you don't care about the opinions of people, that's only valid until you get negative reviews or people have bad things to say about you. Then all of a sudden you're seen caring. We see it in the media with celebrities all the time. You know, I don't care what people think until people think something bad. Then they're complaining about all the haters and stuff, you know, worrying. I've said it before and I'll say it again. One of the most important things that I've taken from Gary Vee, who is like a very big motivator as far as online personalities go, is don't listen to any comments, good or bad, right? Because then you fall in love with them. You become addicted to that dopamine. And that's not the dopamine you should. Okay, sir. Okay, ma'am. Let's stay in our own lanes. You become addicted to that dopamine. And I guess that's where I was. Later on in my life, when I realized that beyond the dopamine of awards and stuff, right, I needed the validation of people around me. Like, you're doing a good job, Tipo. Well done, Tipo, you know. I forgot what it meant to validate myself, and I'm still very much struggling with that. And I've discussed it once or twice or 3 million times. And I think I fell to the other end of the spectrum, right? The inability to seek that validation. Not in the sense like I don't care at all, but like you don't know what to do with it. You don't know what to say or do, and someone's like, good job, you're doing very well. You actually don't know, and I recognize it and I see it, and my co-workers see it and my friends see it. This inability to acknowledge, okay, you're doing a job. This is a job well done. And it's very challenging to come the other way. I've said before, and I feel like I say that every 3 minutes on these Let's Chats, because a lot of these are just reoccurring themes that I like expand on, but the support that I feel from my co-workers at work, it's important, you know, like to a high degree, right? Because these are people that I admire, like we do good work, right? And I also recognize the fact that throughout the year we've received a lot of praise and like congratulations from a number of different businesses and companies and people that we work with, to say, man, in their sense, you guys are up there with like some of the best, if not the best. And I'm not saying that to try to hype us up or anything. It's quite factual, you know, we've got the things to prove it. And I recognize deeply that that's not the fruit of my labor. Like I joined this year and I'm a support, but this has been ongoing. Like these are people who perform at a high level, rather, right? The word was escaping me there. And that's why also I appreciate and I acknowledge what they say. And when you're in a situation like I'm in, where you're very blessed to be surrounded by excellence, in my opinion, again, these are all my opinions, but these ones are easier validated by the fact that there's a lot of hardware hanging in the trophy cabinets. You know, a lot of hardware hanging in the trophy cabinets, and it makes me feel like, shucks, you know, I know nothing. And I think the moment you acknowledge the fact that you know nothing, you're willing to learn. And I'm very willing to learn. Very, very, very willing to learn. It's difficult. Some days you're not. Some days you feel like, I know this thing, like, leave me alone. But those are the times you need to humble yourself. And I think that's what happened in terms of my support systems and structures, is that I flew too close to the sun and I got burnt, you know. I always refer to 2016 when I thought, you know, I was a big shot, doing big things, TV interviews, radio interviews, working with mayors and other political figures and celebrities and being invited to shoot. None of that stuff matters. That's empty validation. That's very, very empty validation. Because what matters is your actual support system and structure around you, right? The people who you're speaking to on your phone every day, the people who will check in on you to see if you're okay. And the moment you start treating those people bad and they leave, that's when you realize that, oh, things are actually hikey in the shambles now. Now I don't know what to do. Now I'm lost. And that's when you realize how little a lot of these trivial things mean. Having 3 letters at the end of your surname as a dissertation or designation doesn't mean as much as you think it does. Having said that, I'm writing on Friday and it's giving me a lot of anxiety. But like, it's again, the anxiety of failing the people who have believed in me, right? Because again, my support system and my support structure believe in me. And there's 2 things that can do. If it's a positive reinforcement, you feel the positive pressure to perform at your best. Try your best, right? When you do what you can, God will do what you can't. Like, really give it your all. But then there's also that unhealthy, toxic pressure, where it's like if you fail, it's the end of the world and everyone will be mad at you. And that's the anxiety I feel. It's not real. I think the mind is a powerful thing. The mind is a very powerful thing. And even when you know something's not real, you will kind of convince yourself. That's what we do as human beings. You know, that's a lot of the mental games and stuff we play with ourselves. The fact that if I don't do X, person Y will not appreciate me, love me, like me, whatever it is. And that's when you start acting out of fear, right? People who are unfortunately stuck in somewhat abusive relationships, it's that fear of like letting go and not knowing what's going to happen, you know. I know that if I do this person will like me, and I don't know, and I dare not find out what will happen if I don't perform in this specific way. Will they still like me? Will they not like me? Will they this? Will they that? You know, it's that fear, and it stops us from doing a lot of things. It's very evident, and you just need to go back in this exact YouTube channel. See that I'll try most, if not everything, right? I don't care much what people say. When I started this YouTube journey in grade 10, I always did it for me, and I had a lot of kickback, like typical a lot of, I don't even want to repeat because it was at the time hurtful and like very negative, but now I just don't care, so it's not worth repeating and giving power. But my immediate support system and structure said, this is cool, have fun, do it. And that's what real support will do for you. It will give you a safe space. I believe strongly in having a safe space, and I'm looking for safe spaces. I think, you know, as life goes on and people move on and go on different journeys, and you know, people find their people, and like it becomes a little bit lonelier, and it becomes more and more difficult to find a safe space. And I think for a while I've been a little bit lost not having one, you know. And it's something I empathize with other people, because I've always known kind of what it's like to not have necessarily a safe space that'll be there forever. Because, you know, as an only child, you do your best and your parents do their best to like keep you entertained and like be there for you. But there is like something, and it's not to say I wanted a sibling, because I love being an only child. Anyone who speaks to me will tell you, this guy loves being an only child. I really do. But it can be lonely. I think that's the journey of life though. Whether you have siblings or not, life can be lonely. It just is how it is. And loneliness is one of those things where it's like, okay, so where do I go when I'm scared? Where do I go when I'm lonely? Where do I go when I feel like my back's against the wall, you know? A lot of people say turn to God, and that's something that I'm trying to implement in my life, but that's an easier said than done thing, you know what I mean? I want that 340 hours so badly. It's so nice. Sure. It's a challenging one, and I think, again, I really do empathize with anyone who's lonely. Like anyone who has interacted with me, which is 99.9% of people on this who watch this YouTube channel, will know that I'm almost always ready and willing and able to talk to someone if they need someone to talk to, because I really do know what it feels like to not have someone to talk to. I'm almost always ready and willing to be there for people. There are people in this life that I dislike at the moment who I'm still willing to be there for at the 11th hour, because not having someone hurts different, you know, and it's scary different. It is. It's a very scary type of difficult. And when you're going through difficult times and difficult days, kind of like I've had today, and you just put on a happy mask and you just keep it moving, and you try and not bring everyone down with you, and you try not make your feelings and emotions everyone else's problem, you can feel even more lonely, because you know that you're making people laugh and smile, or trying to. Let me not say you are, because I don't think that's ever given, but you're trying your best to make a happy, conducive environment for the people around you. You know that you're not creating the same thing for yourself internally. And it's that battle of like, where do you draw the line between asking for help and just being a burden on others? And it's not a line that I know how to draw. It's not a thing that I know how to quantify, but I can say firsthand that I know the feeling of smiling when on the inside you're not necessarily smiling like that. And you say to yourself, okay, well, I need to go back to the support system and structure that I know and let them know that I'm not okay. But what happens when you feel like you've burdened yourself? And again, this is this is you, and again I blame myself for this, and self-blame or victim blaming myself. It sounds weird to say, but it's like, okay, but you've done this to yourself. You haven't communicated. And then you think to yourself, okay, well, it's too late to communicate now. I guess it's too late now. It can't be done. I don't know, it's very weird. I say that often. I say that a lot in this thing. It's very weird. But it is strange. It's a strange thing. To think that all you want to do is reach out, but the only thing you can't do is reach out. Yeah. You know? There are times where you just have to keep it moving. There are times where you just have to keep it moving, because at the end of the day, docs need to be submitted, business has to go on, the sun will rise, and you just have to. There's no other way, you just have to. You just kind of have to. And that's okay for the most part, as long as you are reaching out when things are at their darkest. Look for a little, feel around and look for a light switch, you know. Unless there's load shedding, then you're screwed. But yeah, internet friends, more than anything, I just wanted to say it's important to try your best to find a support structure and support system that works for you. And don't be scared to utilize it. I like to try and think people wouldn't offer themselves as a support structure if they didn't mean it. Because that's how I feel. I don't offer myself up to help people if I didn't want to help people. Does that make sense? But ultimately, I think I need to take my own advice and lean more on the people around me, especially like days like today. Yeah. Kind of just a stream of consciousness, as these Let's Chats normally are. But what are your guys' opinions on this, you know? Are you like me and find it difficult to listen to advice when it's given to you and internalize it and actually take it with love, care, and compassion? Or are you just good at asking people for help and telling them that you're not okay? Let me know. Love to know. But anyway, internet friends, your boy has just done a little bit of a longer route home just so I could finish off my thoughts. But as always, thank you very much for rocking with me. Very scared this thing dies. Yeah, thank you very much for rocking with me. We'll see you next week, and as always, remember to love life and all the people in it we're living.